Hi guys, and welcome back to No Book Left Behind. I'm your host Mark, and today it's my April TBR video. Okay, so spring is here, April is here, and it's time for my TBR video for this month. And these TBR videos are my favourites, to be honest, for two main reasons. The first one is there's no script sitting up there for me to mangle, so editing is a lot easier and much quicker. But more importantly, there are 10 fantastic books sitting down here waiting for me to talk about, but more importantly, waiting for me to read over the next few weeks. So let's get started. Now, if you're a regular on this channel, you'll know that one thing I do is I read entries from the British Library's Tales of the Weird series and review them. And we've got two this month. What a surprise. The first of those is Tales of the Tattooed, an Anthology of Ink, which is an interesting title because if you think about it, every book is an anthology of ink, isn't it? At least it was before the digital age, anyway. Now, I come to these British Library volumes in order to discover new authors or to read authors where maybe I've heard of them before but not actually read anything. So that's why I come to these, and it is disappointing to me when I open them up and I look at the list of stories inside and see ones I've read before or authors I've read before. I'm looking for something new, so I haven't looked in here before, so I don't know what's in here. So I'm going to do that now, and let's see what we've got. Okay, oh, I've heard of him. I think so. W. Jacobs, didn't he write The Monkey's Paw? I think. That's not the story that's in here, but I think he wrote that. Couldn't be positive. Saki, I've read the occasional story by him. In fact, I think there's been one in a Tales of the Weird volume before. Maybe. Not positive about that. And Roald Dahl at the end there, obviously familiar with him, or at least I know the name. Read The James and the Giant Peach when I was about 12, I think. I enjoyed that a great deal at the time. Haven't really read anything else and didn't know he wrote anything supernatural. The others I have not heard of, so that's really good. I'm really looking forward to this one now. And none of the stories I've read before either, so yeah, that's great. I'm very enthusiastic about this now. Might even read it first. Okay, the second volume from Tales of the Weird that I'll be reading this month is The Outcast and Other Dark Tales by E.F. Benson. Now, I do know of E.F. Benson. I've read a couple of his stories before because they were in earlier volumes of Tales of the Weird. And they weren't spectacular, to be honest. I thought they were okay. They were decent enough. But Benson was very popular as a supernatural author back in the early part of the 20th century in the UK, at least. Very prolific as well. So, yeah, I'll give him a chance. Obviously, I don't know whether either of those stories that were published before are in here again. Let's have a quick look. Well, nothing rings a bell, so I don't think so. But the British Library do have a regrettable habit of repeating stories across these volumes, or at least they have so far, which I always find, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed when they do that. But yeah, looking forward to that one then. Let's see how that one goes. After that, let's go to another kind of semi-regular thing, which is every month I read a book from either Walter Mosley's Easy Rawlins series or Jeffrey Deaver's Lincoln Rhyme series, and this month it's the turn of Walter Mosley and Easy Rawlins and Bloodgrove, which I believe is the penultimate one that's been published. So this is from 2021, I think, so it's pretty recent in comparison with the Jeffrey Deaver ones, where I'm way behind. I think I'm about 8 books behind on that. But yes, I'm obviously going to finish Easy Rawlins first. And I do have to mention, I think the Easy Rawlins books have hit a high over the last couple, and I've talked about them on the channel. I think Mosley's got better and better as the series has gone on. And although it started very strongly, I still think Devil in the Blue Dress is one of the best entries. But yeah, he's getting better and better for me. So those are the 3 books that you could say were semi-predictable that I'd be reading them. The rest is a strange mishmash, really. Mostly fiction this month, slightly skewed that way, 6-4, I think. Partly because of those regular ones. But yeah, let's look at them anyway. Let's do a couple of the non-fiction ones. Now, the first of these is the autobiography, or perhaps more likely described as a memoir, of the actor Sterling Hayden. This is called Wanderer. Now, I don't believe it's what you call a straight life story. It's more about his kind of philosophy of life, I think. I mean, Hayden was a writer. He did write, well, he only wrote 1 novel, but it is an absolute doorstep. I've got a copy of it back there in my TBR bookcase. It's huge, and I'll tackle it one day. Probably not as part of this Read What You Own challenge, though, because I wouldn't get much else done that month. But anyway, yeah, so this does look as if it's going to be very interesting and not just your usual Hollywood kind of tales. Now, the next non-fiction one is a biography, or at least the first volume of a biography, and this explains, this book and another one actually, another couple that I'll be looking at today, explain why there are some very short ones in here as well, because this is quite substantial. This is I Am Providence, The Life and Times of H.P. Lovecraft by S.T. Joshi. Now, this is actually the first volume of 2, and I think it stretches to over 1,000 pages over the 2 volumes. And I have read criticism that says maybe some editing was required, but I'll judge it for myself when I read it. But I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. I'm not sure if his life was incredibly exciting, but I'm going to find out all about it, and I'm going to find out all about his work as well. So looking forward to that as a big fan. So we're halfway through there, so let's move to the other pile. Yeah, one of the other long books, or longish book, well, it is long, it's about 700 pages, is another Hollywood biography. This one is Donald Spoto's take on Marilyn Monroe. I'm not a massive Marilyn fan, but I do think with the right part, she was pretty stellar. And obviously her life was pretty remarkable in lots of ways, and there'll be lots of incidents and events in it. So I am looking forward to this one quite a lot. And let's see what he has to say about her suspicious death. Oh, sorry, it wasn't suspicious at all, was it? Sorry. Okay, let's see. Let's do a couple of fictions next. Now, these are a couple of very short books because, yes, I needed to balance things a bit to try and get through 10 books in the month. And these are both Lost World literature because I realise I haven't done a Lost World literature video for some time and I'd like to do another one. So these are The Unholy City by Charles G. Finney. Now, I did talk in a previous reading roundup about The 7 Faces of Dr. Lau, which I'd read by him, which I was disappointed by. In fact, that's the name of the movie. The name of the book was, I think, The Circus of Dr. Lau. Ooh, memory struggling a little bit there. I was disappointed with that book, but I already had a copy of The Unholy City by that point. So yes, I'll be reading that one. And that actually got another story in here. So it's a fairly short novel. It's got another story in it called The Magician Out of Manchuria. So looking forward to reading those and talking about them. And the other Lost World book is by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, which is a feminist take on the Lost World, called Herland. I think it's about a female utopia. She wrote 3 books about this society, I believe, but you don't have to read them in order. This is the most famous of the 3, and it's extremely short, as you can see. And one of the things about Gilman is she did write a short story called The Yellow Wallpaper, which is absolutely terrific. I've never read anything else by her, but that one story was enough to convince me to give this a go. So we've got 2 books left. Time for another book about the movies. Sorry, I am sadly obsessed, as you'll know if you follow this channel regularly. Although having said that, a lot of the books up there in the top half of my TBR bookcase are about cinema and are about the movies. But of course, I am reading them and I'm getting through them. So I think in the future there's going to be more fiction on this channel and perhaps a little less non-fiction. But we'll see. But this one is Transition and Transformation, Victor Sjöström in Hollywood, 1923 to 1930. He was a famous Scandinavian film director. He made what I consider Lon Chaney's best movie called He Who Got Slapped, Gets Slapped. He Who Gets Slapped, let's get it right, in 1924. I think that's an amazing film. And I like some of his other movies too. I don't know anything about him as a person. My only fear about this book is it's the only one I could find about him. And it does occur to me, looking at it briefly, it might be more of a dissertation or a thesis from this author, Bo Florin, what a wonderful name, Bo Florin. Anyway, it might be more of a dissertation or thesis. It might be a bit theoretical. I fear, because I read a book about the Polish silent film director Jean Epstein, no relation to anyone who owned an island, and that was just completely went over my head. I didn't understand a word of it, quite frankly. The author was just talking about all this film theory stuff, and I was just completely lost. So I really hope this book isn't like that. So the final book that I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to be reading this month, hopefully, is another long one, you see. It's more fiction. It's William Hope Hodgson's The Boats of Glen Carrig, of the Glen Carrig, excuse me, and Other Nautical Adventures. I couldn't read there. What am I doing? Yeah, this is part of the Nightshade series of 5 hardbacks they issued to cover the entirety of William Hope Hodgson's career. Combined, they cost me a damn fortune. Particularly one volume, which was more than twice as much in cost as any other book I've ever bought. And was a very stupid purchase, and I shouldn't have done it. But I did. And that was to complete the set, by the way, which needed that book for more than 10 years. So that's my justification in spending all that money. But the stupid thing is, I've never read them, which is ridiculous, isn't it? Because I've had the complete set for quite a few years. Just never got around to reading them, which is just incredibly silly. Although I am familiar with a lot of the contents already, having read them before, but not all of it, obviously. And I don't know. There'll be stuff in here that I presumably haven't read. The Boats of the Glen Carrig is the main selling point here. It's a novel. I have read that. I don't think it's among his best, but I do think it's great, because pretty much everything was great. Yeah, so I'm going to be reading that one as well. So that's it for today's video. That's the plan for April anyway. I'm really, really looking forward to it, especially a couple of those. Really looking forward to. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for staying with me till the end of the video. It's much appreciated. And if you're enjoying my content, please don't forget to give us a like and maybe even subscribe, because yeah, getting quite a few subscribers these days, which is surprising me. We're still a very small channel though, so any help is appreciated. But in the meantime, to leave you with my closing words, please don't forget to keep looking through those dusty second-hand bookshops, visiting those market stalls, those car boot sales, and rummaging through those charity bins, because there are treasures out there that only you can find. Be seeing you.